Hello, and welcome to the Melting Pot. I'm Sunil.
And I'm Nij, and today we're going to be discussing Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick. 26 years.
Hell yes. Yep.
26 years. What did you think of it?
I thought it was amazing in one word. Obviously, there's more to say on that, but for me, it's probably the best film I've seen this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so based on our Doctor Strange video,
Yeah. Yeah.
and obviously me spending 40 minutes whinging about that movie, bit of a step up in quality.
Yeah. Amazing. Far exceeded my expectations. I came into it thinking it was one of those sequels with, you get those generic sequels where we'll just do the same story again, because what can you really do? It's like it's a movie about flying. Like you can only do one thing in it.
Yeah.
But it was just about how wrong I was, like how I feel like they evolved the story from the first one, and just everything they had in it I just thought was really good.
Yeah, I think I probably agree. I think touching on the story, I mean, the first Top Gun movie is a pretty cheesy movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not the best storyline in the world. I wouldn't say it's like the actors' performances aren't bad, but it's not an Oscar winner. But it's fun.
Yeah.
That action. So talking about the first movie, is the action's really exciting, and I think as good as they could possibly have done it for that era of movie making. And for me, it was taking everything they had done and just bringing it into the 21st century. For me, again, I don't think the storyline was amazing. I think they did a good job, but it was almost like keeping in kind with what they have done before to keep it fun and keep it interesting.
Yeah, I think it was just moving the story from the first one further. I mean, I never thought the story was going to be,
No.
an epic bit of writing.
No, of course.
It is what it is. You know what you're getting when
Yeah.
you're going to watch Top Gun. But I didn't think that they could take what they did in the first one, carry on, and make it better when combined with... I don't think the story was any better than the first one, but when you combine everything else in the film, I think it was a better film than the first one.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, actually. I think how they continued the storyline, so obviously big spoilers here, how they brought Maverick's character into his situation in the movie, and where he starts off, I mean, that whole scene when he's flying the hypersonic jet is...
The Dark Star.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Epic name as well.
Yeah, really cool. But also, I think, done in a really clever way, where from the first movie he's a bit of a maverick. Sorry. And he takes risks, and he's always pushing the envelope of what he should or should not be doing at any given moment. He's perfect for that. Navy test pilot, you've got to have a bit of a death wish, because at any moment you could blow up. So they found a home for him within the Navy that was outside of the general combat training, all that kind of stuff. And, they said he tried to teach and he was not good, because it doesn't suit him, because he can't fit within that rigid structure. And therefore being a Navy test pilot is sort of perfect. So I really liked that. It made a lot of sense, how they brought where he would have ended up, because the assumption is that, okay, he's going to be a fighter pilot, but there's not that much conflict going on, at least in the broad strokes of this universe. So I like that. I think that's well done.
I agree. I think I like that too, because remember the first one was 26 years ago, right? And how he was in that film, he was exactly the same in this film, in the start. Like his character...
Oh, totally.
Like, as you said, he was in Top Gun. He was an instructor for like 2 weeks and then he quit, right? He's been reprimanded everywhere. Usual stuff like the first one, right? he's doing this, which you can imagine, this is right down his street, right? You hear Ed Harris's character saying, you should be a 2-star admiral at this point, and you're still a captain. Him pushing the limits of the Dark Star when he was told, just get to Mach 10 and then stop. And he's like, just a little more, just a little more. Exactly what you would expect him to do.
Yeah, because it's in his nature.
Yeah.
And they were true to the nature of the character, which I liked. I liked that. It would have annoyed me if they tried to take him in some, like, holier than thou kind of thing, because that's just not him.
No. And people don't change like that. You can't just become someone else, right? But what I liked is they showed where he was in the first one, the same, but then evolved him in a different way.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I like. So there was progression of his character rather than, it's just another film about this guy doing the same stuff all the time. Yeah,
and you feel that happens as a result of him rekindling his relationship with Jennifer Connelly's character, and also because of Goose's son.
Yeah.
He wants to he's tried to do right by him, because his mother had said, don't want him to go to the Naval Academy, don't want him to become a pilot after what happened to his dad. And he tries his best, but he makes an enemy out of him. Understandably, he doesn't know why. But as a result of him being protective, but also seeing in him elements of perhaps himself and how Goose was, he also wants to nurture him. Like, he's a pilot now. He's in Top Gun. You can't stop that. You can't undo that. Yes, he wants to try and keep him safe, but perhaps maybe letting him, or helping him let go of his anger and his hurt from whatever happened with his dad will make him a better pilot, and therefore make him more likely to survive in these difficult situations. And that growth is shown and represented really well in the movie, I think, because that's kind of hard to do when this is like a pretty hardcore action film. So I think they did that really well. It was quite well balanced.
Yeah, I think so. And I think what you said is exactly right, that he, because of the way his relationship is with Goose, Rooster, although he should have been really called Gosling as Goose's son.
Yeah.
But I know you don't choose your own call sign, so maybe. But it was just, you could see he's still haunted by the death of Goose. And that whole film is him coming to terms with that sort of through Goose's son.
Wow, the first time he said, talk to me, Goose, I was like, oh my God, I got chills, or hairs on my arms stood up, and I was like, because it takes you right back to that scene in the first movie. And I love that. They played
the scenes, didn't they? Of him ejecting into the canopy. They played that.
They played that. And they did a lot of homage scenes, right? When he first is about to start the final mission, and he's standing there on the lift
flight
platform.
Deck.
It's really cool. I thought I'm a sucker for nostalgia, right? I still watch so many 80s and 90s action films, and I love them. I can watch them over and over again. I mean, movies like Predator and Bad Boys and all that kind of, and they're all cheesy. I mean, you look back and they're all cheesy. Beverly Hills Cop is super cheesy, but people from our generation love that stuff. And we don't get too much of that now, because I don't think many audiences are forgiving for that level of cheesiness. But I felt like they thought, it's a cheesy film. Lean into it. Just let it be what it is, right? The people who are going to come and watch this film are going to know that's what we're doing, and I think they'll appreciate it. I feel like that's like in the mindset of the producer, and I loved it. I loved all of that cheesy stuff.
I think they know that people like it, so they're like you said, just do it.
Just do it.
I mean, this is the sort of the film that if I was American, I'd go and get an American flag tattooed on my chest. It's epic.
Totally.
It's like, wow.
There are so many moments where I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And the dialogue is cheesy as hell, and I loved it. I thought, even how they built the characters. I mean, okay, so let's start with that. I think let's start with Ed Harris. I don't have an image of Ed Harris. I couldn't find a decent one. But he's not in it for very long, is he? But he adds a bit of gravity.
He does. He reminds me of exactly what he did in The Rock.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, he's that sort of authoritative figure that, gives him a grilling and stuff. But you always feel like when you have him in that, or I feel anyway, when you have him in that role, it seems to me like it makes it more believable, because from The Rock, when you've seen him play that role and the way he looks and the way he talks, I feel like, this is it really puts you in there, like this is an admiral or general or whatever. So I really liked that casting of him as that character.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Even if it was like 2 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, he brings weight and gravitas to a role just in and of himself. I don't think, he's so good in everything that he does. I don't think he has to try particularly hard.
No.
Because for him it's like just breathing.
Yeah.
But exactly like you say, he just sits down behind that desk and you're like, oh, I'm in trouble now. This is not good. And he just carries it off with ease.
Deadpan, like serious tone of talking.
Yeah, I was like, I'm in the school principal's office.
Yeah.
That's what you feel
believable.
like.
Yeah.
John Hamm's character.
Yeah.
I love John Hamm. I think he's awesome. I've watched Mad Men start to finish, and I think he's an incredible actor. He's stereotypical, right? He's a stereotypical, I'm your boss, you need to do what I tell you, and we've got a mission, and Maverick, you've got to get it done. But I liked it. It didn't bother me that I don't feel like he was having to try very hard, because it was a very, I hesitate to say basic role, but it is, he's going through very obvious motions as that character, but he does it well.
Yeah, I think he looks the part as well when you look at him.
Oh yeah, totally.
I think the only thing, and I agree with you, I think he did it well. I think the only thing is, because of how he is as a person in real life, or the other roles that you've seen him in, when he was being a villain, I was like, nah, this is a bit weird. Like, why am I seeing him like this? He's not usually like this. So I found that a bit odd, but I think the casting was still good and right for him to be that character.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he was really good. Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah.
I'll bring this image back up. I think she's wonderful in everything she does. I'm a massive Snowpiercer fan, and spoiler alert, she's back. Spoilers over. I think she's amazing. I think, as was expected though, it's called Top Gun Maverick. This film is the Tom Cruise show.
Yeah.
Right, he's front and center in everything. All of the other characters are kind of, normally you have a protagonist and antagonist, and you've got associated characters, a love interest and whatever. But here it's Tom Cruise sucks the air out of the room in most scenes. So there's not much space left for anybody else. And I think that's okay, because ultimately, while I think Jennifer Connelly is a great actor, I didn't particularly come to see her. I came to see Tom Cruise and see what he does and how he does it. But her character was well played. I think she added a bit of levity, because it can become quite a serious movie in a lot of the scenes, and there's a bit of weight there. So I thought she was good. Yeah, I enjoyed watching her on screen.
I think they mirrored Tom Cruise very well in her character as well. So you could see how there'd be a couple, because she was like feisty, when she was ringing that bell and making him pay for the drinks and stuff. When they were in the bedroom, and then she was trying to. But then also she was like a badass when she was like sailing, and she was telling Tom Cruise what to do. So I think like the mirroring of both of them, I think went together really well. You'd be like, oh yeah, they suit each other.
Yeah. They played her off well against him. Yeah, I think that's very true. Glenn Powell, Hangman. Again, another very stereotypical character, an antagonist for Rooster.
Iceman, basically.
The Iceman.
Yeah, the
right?
new Iceman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really obvious.
Yeah.
Again, very cheesy. Typical, I'm a douchebag, I'm better than you. All the ego, all the confidence, all the strut, the whole thing.
But then the flight skills to back it up as well.
Yeah. And a badass in the air, in the same way that Iceman was.
Yeah.
Can be a bit of a dick to his team.
Yeah.
Not necessarily always a team player, but always, capable. But I liked it. Again, again, I think it comes back to, it's very obvious. It's right in line with what you would expect. They didn't try and push the envelope and suddenly make him into, some deep, meaningful character. The rivalry was there, and let that be there. Right, just let it sit. There doesn't need to be any kind of, love between them secretly or anything like that, in the sort of brotherly type way or camaraderie or whatever. That comes at the end. It's coming. It's really obvious it's going to come, and you're happy when it does. There's no big surprises there, but I think he played it really, really well. As far, I've never really seen much else of his work, but as far as I'm concerned, based on this film, he's a douchebag.
Yeah. No,
he made me believe he was a douchebag, and as far as I'm concerned, he absolutely nailed it. So, yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was good as well. I think it was basically mirroring what happened between Iceman and Maverick.
100%.
Twat the whole time, and then it bails him out at the end.
Yeah, and you knew it was coming.
Yeah, and then at the end, there's sort of like that, as it was in the first one. You can be my wingman anytime. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I love you, babe. I love you. Yeah. So, but even though you could sense it was coming, was I annoyed when it came? No, I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, you just don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Miles Teller as the Rooster.
I thought he was really good. I thought he was, first of all, they got him to look. You could imagine him being Goose's son with his moustache.
So good.
Yeah, it's so good. So I think
good.
the casting was right. And I think they had him as a very... it was very interesting how they chose his character, because he was like a very reserved, cautious person. Basically the exact opposite of Maverick.
And in some ways the exact opposite of Goose, because Goose was a like the class clown.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was no real kind of introvert aspects of his personality, and Anthony Edwards played that perfectly in the first Top Gun. Seeing how reserved he was in this, I really liked it, because I was like, I kind of know why. Because losing your dad has made you pull into your shell. Yeah,
then not being allowed in, so thinking maybe you're not good enough or whatever. All of that stuff probably plays on his mind.
Yeah,
so,
and I thought it was really good. But, then you see he's had a couple of drinks at the bar, and the power goes out, and he starts playing the piano, and the whole Great Balls of Fire thing, I was like, wow, it's so good. And they didn't overdo it either, because obviously in the first Top Gun movie, it's a whole scene, right, with Goose's wife, Maverick is there,
Rooster's there, sat on the piano.
So but you're viewing it from the outside, right? You're watching Maverick watch this scene play out. You're not immersed in the whole thing to make it feel like, okay, they're just obviously copying the scene. Yeah. It's happening, but you're not there. But the nostalgia still tugs at you, and I think it was really, really well done. And the whole like flowery shirt, super tan, the sunglasses, it's just really well done. I really like that, and as a character, I think Miles Teller's really an underrated actor. I agree. He's had some unfortunate roles with the whole Fantastic Four thing. I mean, that was just...
No, I agree. I think he is underrated.
But yeah, I think it was brilliant. Action. Talk to me about action.
That was the single best thing about the whole film. It was unbelievable. I mean, the cinematography, the flying sequences, the cameras they use, like the rigs.
This camera angle just
It's epic.
is so good.
The fact that nothing is CGI, the fact that they trained with Top Gun, like there's videos of them vomiting and stuff. It's insane, but it fully immerses you into it. Like I've never experienced anything like that. I honestly, there were times where I felt like I was there. It was that good.
I realised when I was watching it that the scene when he, when he's shut down, and they're trying to do the sub 2 minute time through the route,
the Death Star run,
run, and then he steals the jet and he goes and does it, and they're like, "What's going on?" And they're all watching it happen, and the whole the vast majority of the sequence is this camera angle. And watching all of the G-forces on his face and the physical exertion of all of the crazy turns, and when they do that bank shot thing when he's going up and he might pass out and all of that stuff, I realised that I'd only taken like 2 or 3 breaths in that whole 2-minute sequence, because I was like, and it's so intense.
It's unbelievable. The way he jerks around in his seat with the turns because of the G's.
Yeah, this way and then that
like
way.
You feel it, and then his breath. You know when he's like, it's so epic. It's like
so good.
You can feel it, and you can imagine the way. Well, I would say acting, but he's not acting because that's actually happening to him. But you know exactly what it's like, and you can imagine at that moment what it would be like to be in that situation without being there yourself.
When his reputation precedes him, right? Tom Cruise is a guy who does as far as he possibly can, as far as I suspect his insurance company will let him. He will do absolutely everything himself. And we know that as a viewer. Everybody knows that. If you go into the cinema to watch a Tom Cruise movie, you know, and it's the brand that he's created, that everything you see, as far as humanly possible, I did that.
Yeah.
I was out there and I did it. I mean, in the last Mission Impossible, flying the helicopter and doing all those stunts, he learned how to fly. Well, I think he already knew, but he learned how to fly an attack helicopter and do all those stunts, and it's mental.
And he really is that close to stuff. It's not like they've CGI'd in the canyons and the walls, and he's flying like that.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't read all of the background, but my understanding was the US Navy wouldn't let him pilot the aircraft himself. So in a lot of these scenes, he's actually the back seat, and there is an actual pilot in front of him doing the stuff, but he trained to withstand all of the G-forces, and he had like a dummy cockpit so that he would be basically following all of the actions that the other guy would do, with the expectation that when he does it, these are the forces that are going to be exerted on him. Is that correct?
I'm not sure about him. I know the others had that for sure.
Because I don't know if they wouldn't let him fly.
I'm almost certain that you're probably right, because why would they let him fly $1 billion plane?
I'm going to look it up.
The other thing that I don't know if you knew, in these shots, these guys are they're doing the filming themselves. Like, they turn the camera on and off because no one's in there with them.
Oh, yeah.
So they're doing that as well as the acting. Because Miles Teller was saying there's some scenes where he forgot to press record, and they did the thing. Yeah, so it was like, I mean, imagine you're doing all of that crazy stuff, and then you're also you're responsible for your own filming.
That's
like
crazy.
If you can't get the shot, that's on you, because the camera's with you in your plane.
Oh no, that's mad.
Crazy. But just some of the shots, I mean, obviously we talked about these ones inside, but some of the outside shots as well. The couple that come to mind is obviously the maneuver when they drop the missiles and then have to bank up the thing and then do the inverted dive. And I think the most epic one, if it was real, and I think it was real, was the one where they're at the end when they're going up against the SAM sites and the enemy aircraft, the Generation 5 fighters, and they fire on one of them, and it does that crazy 360-degree spin in the air and avoids like everything. Unbelievable.
Crazy. So just reading, I just thought I'd have a look.
Yeah.
He was not allowed to fly.
Okay.
Because technically he's a civilian.
Yeah.
And you have to be a qualified Navy pilot to fly Navy aircraft. And I think in one of a written interview, he sort of said, I'm quite happy to go through all of the training. I don't care.
Yeah.
And they said, that's not the point. You can go through all the training and we can approve you as qualified, but you're not a member of the Navy. So as a result of that, I think whatever the government, I suppose, guidelines or regulations are, he's simply not allowed to fly the jet. But they were quite happy for him to go up there with a Top Gun pilot, and knowing exactly with the dummy controls and everything, he played it out. And I suppose the fact of the matter is, flying or not flying, you are, as a 60-odd-year-old man, in good enough shape and have understood the forces that are going to be put onto your body to actually go and do this stuff, albeit with another pilot in front of you actually doing it, and stay awake, don't pass out, don't vomit, and give the viewer a sense of what your body is being put through. I think it's just extraordinary. It is always amazing to me what this guy does.
Unbelievable. And you saw they tried to show you glimpses of it from like Payback, when Payback was doing that maneuver.
Oh yeah.
And he goes into G-lock and passes out, and you just think, oh my god, this is so intense. And that happens, so it's not like
and it's totally believable.
Yeah, it's not like this
when
is part
you see
of the
him
film.
Just like you can almost see the blood draining from his face.
His eyes roll back and stuff. And it was
just
unbelievable. It was unbelievable. That's no other word to describe it, really.
The way that they did these action scenes is just extraordinary. And there was so many like cool parts to it. I mean, getting back in an F-14, that's just really cool. I mean, it's such a cool plane. It's always been a really cool plane, and to bring it back,
amazing. I had a poster of that when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
Just the folding out wings. It's so, and they had a whole fight sequence in the F-14 as well, which was quite cool.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that scene with the generation, I mean, it's a really terrible picture, but
unbelievable. So good.
So cool. Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Scene stealer.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
I said I felt like he sucked the air out of the room in pretty much all the scenes he was in. For me, it was except when he walks into the room and Val Kilmer is there.
Yeah.
He barely says anything for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But he just carries so much weight behind him and so much emotion on his face. That whole, I mean, it's only a few minutes long, but for me, that brought so much emotion to the whole movie.
Definitely.
Really, really cool.
And it was good how they periodically throughout the movie had his picture as an admiral, had him like with Goose and Maverick and all of them in the Top Gun days. So it was nice how they were like, his lore, as it were, going through the years. And then you see, when not only was he amazing without saying a lot, like you said, but you see how different his life was to Maverick's, like the path he took. And where he is now and where Maverick is. And it just develops both of their characters at the same time, because it's like, well, Maverick's like this, but then also with Ice, it's like, well, he did everything right. He did everything by the book, and look where he's ended up. So I thought that was really good, drawing on those two parallels of how they went their separate ways, and they're totally different for it now. Yeah,
and I think it kind of shows the difference between colouring in between the lines and colouring outside of the lines, where they ended up. But it was nice that that they never let you forget that Maverick's current position and how he has managed to, with the attitude that he has hang on, albeit sometimes by a thread, for so long, is because he had this guy looking out for him.
Yeah.
And, you know, always trying to massage the powers that be and just say, hey, look, here's what it is. Just leave him be. You know, cut him some slack. It's all good. And with the authority that he had, he looked out for him. I thought it was really good. I thought really, really well done. I think that's it from me.
Yeah. Same. I guess we're at that time where we rate it now out of 10.
Okay. Well, contrary to the Doctor Strange video, there is only one other movie that this sort of falls into line with, i.e. the original one. And for me, I would probably put this... okay. I think somewhere between an 8 and a 9.
Yeah, I agree. I think the original, and remember, you know what you're getting with Top Gun. You don't go to watch the story. You go to watch everything about the shooting, the how it is, how it makes you feel. And I would have given the original, or I do give the original actually, an 8. So this is better than that. So this for me definitely somewhere between an 8 and a 9. It doesn't get a 10 obviously because it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. And as I said, for me, it's the best film definitely that I've seen this year.
Interesting actually, because you make me think back to my comments on the Doctor Strange video were less about whether it moves storyline along and all of that stuff. It was, how did I feel when the movie finished? When Top Gun Maverick finished, I was like, raw, that was sick.
Yeah.
So on that basis, actually, I will say it's a 9 out of 10 for me. I didn't come home thinking anything bad about it.
No.
I knew what it was.
Absolutely.
It was totally. I tell you what it was. It was honest to itself.
Yeah. It's very transparent. You know what it is. Yeah.
And I had a great time with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a film I will buy on Blu-ray and watch like 1,000 times.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
So,
and there's certain scenes in that film which are just mind blowing.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind blowing.
Brilliant.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for watching. We will be back with some more videos on some movies, some TV shows that we're currently watching. We've got some interesting content coming there. We've got some good tech reviews coming up as well. We've got a Steam Deck review. Yes, I managed to get a Steam Deck. Hooray. So that's coming up very soon. Please like and subscribe. And we'll
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you very much.
See ya.
Bye.